Sidney Crosby to play at the IIHF Worlds with a little bit of a surprise. We're going to be talking about the NHL Playoffs, the two most recent games, Islanders Caps, Bolts and Wings, all that and more on In the Crease with Tommy C. What's going on, everybody? The crazy Tommy C, off of his Cronin duty. None other than the great Dead on Dave. What's happening?
Hello, good sir. Hello, everybody.
Hello. How what's happening with you?
I'm living the dream, bud.
You know, I should have went with the Kronwall thing now that I'm thinking of it as far as the title went, but I guess I secretly wanted to talk about this with you. I don't know if you checked out yesterday's show, but I kind of put Sid over a little bit.
Did a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. So you did see it. Good. And I wanted to get your insight on that because, in my opinion, and there is it's not a lot of press. It's a little sort of questioning Sidney's sanity on playing for his country. What was that? Were you sneezing? What's so funny? Is your wife making like?
No, man. I just
with her
fucking
boobs?
almost died.
Is your wife shaking
Something
her
got
boobs?
caught in my throat.
And were you laughing?
Terrible.
All right. But I wanted to run this by you. Thanks for screwing anything up for me. I wanted to run this by you. Let's get in one of those funny nerd fights. That'd be funny. Like, stop fucking up my show, Dave.
Fucking I almost died. Fuck.
Well, at least we get some hits. You know?
Yeah.
Guy dies on lame ass hockey show with a bunch of dorks. So anyway, Sid goes to play. There's a spattering of press out there that this is not too good for him. Some guys, I mean, going back to the old days, don't think they should be playing in these international tournaments. Hockey is not like soccer. Soccer, it's more valuable to play for your country than it is even for your club. Country, then club. In hockey, baseball, and other American sports, it's club, then country. Sid hasn't been to a Worlds since 2006. A lot of that has to do with him going past the second round and his health. What do you think about him doing this? And is some of the criticism legitimate as far as him playing in this tournament?
I think it's quite a beautiful thing about Sidney Crosby that something that can be taken right down the middle. You got some people who can look at it and go, okay, that's awesome. That's Sidney Crosby. After a season that he had where there were some injury questions and things like that, and leadership questions more than anything else, that he's going to go and play hockey for his country in another tournament. He's not going to take the rest. He's going to go play. He's stand-up guy. And the other people are like, oh, fucking selfish Sidney. Got to go out there and keep on playing because it's all about Sid. It's just weird.
No. The criticism is not so much selfish Sidney. It's stupid Sidney.
Well,
because
same
he could be risking if anything, they're saying he's really being unselfish, in my opinion.
Well, I agree. Like, I'm not saying he's doing anything wrong here. Yeah. Some people are going to make the argument that he's putting his own quest for glory over his health. And that could
I guess you could look at it that way, yeah.
Yeah, you can look at it that way. But no, I think it's a good thing that he's doing it. It shows that he's passionate about hockey and he's passionate about his country. There's nothing ever wrong with that.
No.
Sidney knows his body better than any of us possibly can.
True.
If the guy thinks he can go, let him go. We have no right to judge him for that. It's your country. You have every right to represent it. Plain and simple. That's the way I look at it.
We criticize Sid a lot in this show for the way he carries himself. I don't question his desire to win. I don't question his competitiveness and his love for the game. And I see this as a completely selfless act to represent their country. God knows he ain't doing it for the money.
Yeah.
And I suppose there's an intelligent argument to be made. Nice hair, Tommy. What's wrong with my fucking hair? I combed it. So what? I normally don't comb it. Fucking pay attention to the chat. I think there's an argument to be made that maybe this might not be wise. Sure. Financially. From a financial standpoint, this might not be wise. And you know what? You might be right. But for those who complain that these athletes are all about money, you really can't say that about this situation. And maybe it is glory. But if he's searching glory, that means it's bigger to him. It means something to him. So
sure.
I kind of think I'm kind of proud of Sid, to be honest with you. And we both were in the military. Not that it's a little different serving your. It is a service in a way. You're representing.
It is absolutely.
So I mean, I can comfortably Maybe some soldiers wouldn't be comfortable with this, but I can comfortably draw the comparison to a service of sort. He's using his skills to further his country's standing in the hockey world, which is very,
I think there's
important.
another story here.
What do you say?
I think there's another way of looking at it too. If you're the Pittsburgh Penguins coming off of one of the most disappointing seasons that you've had since Sidney has been with your team, there's a lot of question marks going into next season. Do you, as an ownership group, as a GM, as a coach, do you want Sidney playing in this tournament, or do you want him getting right for next season? Is that a conversation that you have? And do you have the right to do that?
Oh, as
You
far
know,
as
do you have the right to put a little persuasion on Sidney and be like, maybe you should sit this one out, kid?
he's got, I think the clubs do that, right? I think they have but I think the final decision is on. I don't think there's anything they can do about, unless they want to play in a tournament mid-season, because that's a part of their contract. But their contracts are essentially up with their duties to their team as soon as the season's over, and the Pittsburgh Penguins season is over. So of course they can come up to like, Sid, I don't think this is a really good idea. You know, you're a franchise player. Sid may be looking at it like, 28. Maybe it's time to play in a few of these before I don't get a chance to play in a few of these. Keep in mind, all the greats.
That'd be another part of it too.
Gretzky played in every international tournament he get his fingers on. I mean,
Yeah.
he would have played in more during the season if he could have. And I think both Americans, especially Europeans, this means a lot more to Europeans, it tends to, than it does American and Canadians. But I think that's actually starting to change, especially with the advent is since 1998, we've had the Olympics in hockey, and a lot of these players looked up to Jeremy Roenick's and Chris Chelios's and Wayne Gretzky, Mark Messier's, Eric Lindros playing in their own country. So they want to go out and do it too. But it is a risk, and there's not a big financial payoff.
It's a risk.
It's not a big financial.
It's just quite interesting. I don't know if I'd be doing if I were him in this situation, coming into the most question-filled off season of his career.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's the story.
Okay, I guess you're. Look, you could make it. I'm not saying you can't make a case. I guess my problem with Sid's being stupid. Yeah. And if either
I'm
saying
proud
it's
of him though.
I can't. No, I can't say a bad word about him. It's just it's really good stuff to me, and for whatever that's fucking
represent
worth.
Your country, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know?
Let's talk about the Islanders Caps first and foremost.
Oof, what a series, man!
What a series! Oh, certainly the best series of all. I think the worst thing about this series, I think these are two legitimate Stanley Cup contenders, and one of them had to go out in the first round.
Yeah.
The thing that gets me about this, now we're always talking, make the dance. Get
in the tournament, baby.
Get in the tournament, see where the chips fall. Boy, you can make the case this season, especially with there being no clear runaway team, that it wasn't enough to make the dance. Ask the Senators, certainly, and you might have to ask one of the after tonight, the Tampa Bay Lightning, or the actually tomorrow, Thursday. Actually, they're playing Thursday. I thought
Thursday, yeah,
Thursday,
they're getting an extra day for some reason.
They're getting an extra day. If you look at the Rangers having to play the Penguins, if you look at the Caps having to play the Islanders, Bolts having to play the Wings, man, oh man, where you finished really meant something this year.
Sure.
Because you get look, if the Islanders had taken the division, which they pretty much led most of the season, they don't got to play these guys first round.
No, they don't.
And they physically were decimated by them. Every other statistic is almost about even between these two teams,
except for shots.
Yeah, well, in the last game. But you know what? It's not like the Cops, the Islanders gave a ton of shots up to like a 40-shot situation.
No, it was only like 27.
Keeping the Caps down to 20-something shots, and well, obviously 11 for really showed that's enough to win a game. That's
Sure.
I mean, and considering it's a rookie defense that was just called up. So I think both teams played spectacularly in just about every aspect, the skill aspect, the physical aspect.
They beat the hell out of each other.
And they beat the hell out of each other, but the Caps did it a little more, and the Caps kept the Islanders out of the dangerous spaces just a little more, and they wore them down. It was truly an incredible series. So Game 6 was the last day in Nassau Coliseum. I highly recommend Islander fans check out Sean Leahy of Puck Daddies, a fan's farewell to Nassau Coliseum. Apparently, he grew up an Islander fan. And I got to be honest with you, as a Ranger fan, growing up with guys like Al Arbor, Mike Bossy, and stuff. And believe me, I know how great the Islanders were and how important they were to hockey, especially in the East Coast in the early 80s. You really ought to check out this article. I don't put Puck Daddy over very often, but please check out this article.
Not very often,
yeah. It's very, very good, and I think it'll mean something to you as an Islander fan, or even as a Ranger fan, remembering the rivalry and the way it was, and how we're going into a new chapter as really Sean Leahy kind of beautifully displayed. I was really blown away by this article.
Coming into Brooklyn.
So, I mean, goaltending was about even though Holtby was soft at times, but Holtby's also recovering from the flu.
Yeah.
That's all it was. And I got to be honest with you, had the Islanders not slowed down, they really paid for slowing down in March. And because they drew the Caps. I think that's the underlining story that's not being talked about. I think
that's a potential story. But if you look at some of the other matchups that were potentially there, do you really want to have to draw a team like Ottawa that outplayed Montreal the entire series and had that coach, had Cameron and all of his friggin' wisdom, made the move to Anderson a little bit sooner, maybe game 2, and get away from Hammond, who was slowing down. They could have won that friggin' series. Who's to say they couldn't have done something against a lesser team, in my eyes at least, in the Islanders? I think Montreal's a little bit better than the Islanders. I think we can both kind of agree with that. Basically, because they got the best player on the planet right now.
I don't know if I would have said that early in the season. I mean, it's easy
right
to say
now,
though.
though.
Right now, yes, because they did slow down. And I think that's what killed them. March killed them. March killed the Islanders. If you really want to get technical, March killed the Islanders. They weren't the dominant force they were early in the season. And maybe that has to do with their youth. But I think we're past the point of building with the Islanders. We're definitely in a win now. It's too bad they had to go down in the first round. It felt like an Eastern Conference final. Islanders should hold their heads up. And, yeah, on paper it's always going to say first-round elimination. But it didn't feel that way, and it didn't look that way. So it was very close.
That core is still together, though, man. That core is together for next season.
They're still young.
They got a lot to build off of. They didn't really have any playoff experience as a team.
Yeah, that's true.
And they're going to have that next year. And guess what? They're going to have a lot of grit coming off of this. And they're going to have something to prove.
And considering that rookie, basically all rookie defensive team gave up only 20 shots is really impressive. I thought those guys, I mean, they didn't make mistakes. They didn't turn over the puck. And they were going up against Alexander Ovechkin. So what a great accomplishment for those defensemen on the New York Islanders. So there's really no downside to this. Bolts managed to hang on and pretty much take control of the game early against the Wings.
That's a hell of a series, too, by the way.
It's a bizarre series, isn't it?
Very bizarre.
Here's something. If you really want to check out this, if you go back and check out the stick save by Manzarek, very, oh, God, I'm losing my Dominic Hasek-esque. Tatar's goal was a thing of dirty beauty. What's the situation with this? All right. I didn't look at it this way because I don't have a lot of faith in the Bolts. Steve Stamkos hasn't had a goal in this. Yes, and they're still up Game 7 with Detroit. That's a different way of looking at it. They're still in it. A lot of it has to do with this young guy, only his second year in the league, Tyler Johnson, has 5 goals and 29 goals during the season. You don't think of Tyler Johnson when you think of the Bolts. You think of Victor Hedman. You think of Steve Stamkos. You think of Ryan Callahan. Sure. And some they're stacked with firepower, and the fact that they're still in it, and Stamkos is in a terrible slump at the worst possible time. I think actually says a lot about them. I really thought they should have finished Detroit off earlier. Perhaps I underestimated Detroit and overestimated the Bolts. But I did not. I expected Steve Stamkos to perform like we normally that we're normally accustomed, the level that we're normally accustomed to him performing at. Where do you think the series is going? I have some real ideas, and I'm just lost for words. Go ahead,
I think you can look at it you can look at it from both angles here. I got 2 ways I'm looking at it. One, you're absolutely right. Stamkos has been absent in most of this series. He hasn't really done much. However, going into Game 7, if there is one guy that you can put money on that there's a good possibility that he can win a game for you, it is Stamkos. Now, looking at the other side of things, if you are Detroit, this is where you want to be. Yes, you just lost Game 6 and not the best fashion or anything like that. However, you're Detroit. You have been here before. You've done this with this team. You have veterans that know how to win Game 7s and know what it takes to win in this type of situation. So this is the situation you want to be in. A game 7, you're used to the pressure. Maybe they're not. Maybe Stamkos is going to continue to remain absent. They have a really, really good chance of winning this game. But then you have the Stamkos factor on the other side that he has not stolen a game yet, and he might be due.
Yeah, that's the thing. I was waiting for explode. I hate thinking in those terms. Well, he just might explode. And yeah, if he does.
Explode. But he's Stamkos.
Look, this is why I had them going over them in 4. Because if they're there is just simply too much firepower for the for Detroit to handle. But they handled it because they're not shooting as many guns as we thought. Yeah. So and Manzarek has played excellent for the Wings, which was sort of a surprise, considering we all got to know Howard for so long. And Tyler Johnson has actually picked up the load for the Bolts. But here's the thing. I guess I want to make a prediction here. I wanted to say, because of the lack of experience and because I think Manzarek is the better goalie, if I'm saying his name right, I think the Wings are going to take this final Game 7. But it looks like Nicholas Kronwall, because I think games like Game 7s like this come down to defense, like they did in the Caps Islanders series. Sure. I honestly believe that if they're going to lose Kronwall, which is unfortunate. We'll talk about that in a minute. Did you see the hit, by the way?
I did.
Okay, good.
Not a good hit.
I mean, the guy had his head down. It would have been nothing in the old days. I think they have the defensive edge, and I don't think Stamkos is just all of a sudden going to wake up and maybe one of the biggest games in his career thus far. So I do. I think the Wings are more than likely going to go over. But if they don't, it's probably because Kronwall won't be there, and it's probably going to be a really good series. It's probably going to be good.
There is the question that you can ask is, has Stamkos gone cold, or has Detroit really found a way to solve this guy? That could be something too. It seems they kept him on his ass most of the series.
No, that's true.
Has Detroit found a way to just solve him? Other teams this year have not been able to do.
Quite possible.
And if so, are they just going to continue that route in Game 7? Is that going to be enough to propel him into the next round?
I don't know. I got to be honest with you. Kronwall throws a hit, and let me actually get this. And they're having a player safety meeting with him. Kronwall has never been suspended his entire career, and if you consider the type of that he throws, it's nothing short of amazing. No one would ever say that this guy was a dirty hockey player. Not in a minute, not in a second, not in a year. But I tell you something. He lined up this kid. What's his name? Nikita Khrushchev.
Yeah.
He lined up this guy. This kid's got his head down. He had possession of the puck. And he never even looked up. Kronwall does his patented back turn for the hit, which is legal, and sort of catches him with his arm because he mistimed it. I'm surprised this has never happened before because it's usually perfectly clean. Yeah. Now, because it's a shot to the head, we're looking at a suspension.
Yeah, automatic.
Is this even fair? Is this what we want when we're supposedly protecting the head? An honest to goodness accident? Is it really got to be binary? Is this got to be a zero tolerance policy because they never work and they're generally stupid? And the fact that this guy has never gotten suspended in his, I think it's well over a decade NHL career, and the fact that this is a bang-bang game where you can look at hits 100 different ways, it's so subjective. There was no penalty called in the hit, by the way.
No, there wasn't.
I don't think this man should be suspended. I think this is an accident.
Probably shouldn't.
Yeah. But he's going to be.
I think he's going to get sat a game.
Yeah.
I don't think any more than that because of everything that all the mitigating circumstances, but because of the precedent that's already been set and they've already gone with the zero tolerance to this point, they're not going to change it now.
No.
So it's unfortunate, but he is probably going to get set. He probably shouldn't. I mean, the guy's never been in trouble. It's like, really? You're going to set me down in a playoff game? Maybe that should be something that they come up with, talk about, get it collectively bargained. Maybe this is something that there has to be some kind of different situation in the playoffs where they can talk about these things and not be an automatic suspension. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's a weird one. I think zero tolerance policies are dumb. Certainly, he didn't.
For situations
now,
like
look,
this.
The point of contact was the head. There's no doubt. But the type of hit, there's no way he could have known that. And the fact that he
didn't target. It
was no targeting. He couldn't have. His back was turned.
And I think that language is important. Targeting
No, I
the
do.
head and hitting the head are two different things.
Well, if he's getting a meeting, he's getting suspended.
More than likely, yeah.
It's a bang bang play. I don't buy this shit. I don't get it. And it's like now, it's symbolic of society today. You absolutely have no responsibility for keeping your head down. That is the first thing you learn as a young hockey player. Yeah. Head up, stick down. And this guy didn't, and he paid. And now we're looking at a suspension. I think it's an absolute joke. All right.
The question becomes this. Before we move on to the next subject, the question becomes this. I don't know the exact rule word for word. Mm-hmm. But now I always thought that it was targeting the head. Mm-hmm. Now, is it contact with the head or is it targeting the head? Because if it's targeting the head, the Players Association has got to get on this guy's side here. And they've got to file a grievance and at least try to hold this up. Because
the
if it's targeting
NHLPA is weak. The NHLPA is totally weak.
Yeah,
it's just a weak organization. They've been pretty much pushed around since Bettman got in there. They pulled a trick once in '92. They're a one-trick pony. The only union worth of shit, I think, is Major League Baseball.
The NFL's got a strong Players Association.
Yeah, it's one of the best, tightest unions in the world. So we got Kronwall. Blues, why do they fail?
Inconsistency, and playing down to your opponents. Plain and simple. I think they took for granted who they were playing. They didn't realize that they were playing a much hungrier Minnesota team than they've been in the past.
Yeah.
And the Hawks, who have played them in the second round for the past 3 years, if they think that they're playing the same team, they're going to find themselves on the same fucking fate as the St. Louis Blues, because this is not the same Minnesota team that we've seen in the past. This is a different, hungrier team that can play with anybody right now, and now they're confident.
Here's the thing. There's a lot of talk about gutting the team and/or firing Hitchcock. That seems to be the only two common answers out there. I don't necessarily disagree with either of them. But I hate to say it again, but Ryan Lampert brought up a good point. With the exception of Yaroslav Halak, who did slow down. That's why they traded him for Ryan Miller. They have not been getting consistent goaltending for the past year. And they probably shouldn't have traded Halak when they traded him. But Halak wasn't good in the playoffs for them when he needed to be. I think it might have been a fluke. Is this just maybe going out there and getting a huge goaltending free agent, if there's one available, or
for St. Louis,
or dropping, maybe dropping some players for a Tuukka Rask, well, if he's as good as they say.
They seem to believe in who they have with Allen, and throughout the season they were fourth in goals against. This is not a team that, at least in the regular season, had a lot of problems. They had two guys, Allen and who's the other guy?
But they've had inconsistent goaltending from Halak, from Miller when he was there last year, and now from was it Abbott?
Allen and
Allen, excuse me, Allen.
And the other guy who got hurt midseason, he was really good though.
Yeah. What the hell?
So I don't know. I don't know if that was the biggest problem. Like I said, this year they were very good. Brian
Elliott, and nobody, but none of those names really scare you either. I mean, is that the problem? Is it goaltending or is it coaching?
I don't think it is.
Yeah, I think it's just playing down.
Going a little bit off. I've talked to Jeff Huffman, our good partner
expert
and friend, and he really feels it's just a lack of consistent firepower from the wingers. And, he wants to get rid of Oshie. He wants to get rid of all these guys because as good as Oshie can be, especially with his hands, he's not burying the puck enough. And there's a lot of guys who are doing the exact same thing. He might not be wrong there.
Could be like a Sagan thing where you put him on another team, he becomes a different player.
Very true. I think at this point, with the amount of disappointment they've had the last, 3 years, you've got to make a change somewhere. And I'm thinking that the coach is probably going to pay the price.
The coach is probably going to play the race, but you know what? Whether they do, and I don't necessarily, I'm not against firing the coach when it isn't his fault. It sends a message to the players sometimes. But I got to be honest with you, no matter what they do, I don't think it's his fault. I really don't think you can lay a majority of the blame on him. I don't.
You may not be wrong, and you may not be wrong here, but this is a team throughout the regular season, 5th in goals, 4th in goals against, 4th in power play percentage, and 7th against penalty kill percentage. This is a team that played well and played strong all season. However, when it came to playoff time, they just ran into a team that was better.
Yeah.
For whatever reason. Maybe not more talented, but a better team. And when you look at it like that, that's usually going to come down to coaching. And that's usually who's going to pay the price.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But let's face it. Coaches more often play the place for the player discretion.
Absolutely.
Else.
I agree with that.
Last thing I want to talk about in the news, Doughty, Karlsson, and Subban voted into the James Norris Memorial Trophy finalist. No big surprise there. Here's what I got to. Here's my problem with the Norris Trophy. It's since Bobby Orr's come in, it's not the best defenseman. It's the best offensive defenseman. Should there be a criteria that you could do both? And a guy like Karlsson, who just sucks on D, just almost refuses to play it or play it hard. Really honest. Should that be punished? Should we be looking at defensemen that maybe pump 10 goals and or a plus something or other? I mean, I don't like seeing. I mean, there was a player called Phil Housby. He played for the Jets, a few other teams, and he was a fourth forward. I'm not saying Karlsson's a fourth forward, but I mean, should we hold these guys accountable just because they have a big shot in the power play, like Subban? And to me, Drew Doughty beats both these guys. He's a better defenseman than both these guys put together. That's the way I see that. How do you feel about that award? I don't know if you have any personal stake in it or not, but
Well, I don't. I like Subban just like you do. But I think for the maybe in years past, the overall best defenseman that could do both is going to be more valued than just an offensive defenseman. But it seems like goals get the priority nowadays. You have that flash in offense, you're going to get the advantage over the guy who busts his ass on both sides of the puck. So I don't know. Personally, I would like to see a guy who busts his ass defensively and also, maybe nets 10 himself to get the nod and the preference over somebody like, a Karlsson who doesn't necessarily play defense like a defenseman should. But if you have an elite offensive defenseman, then I think that changes the narrative.
Okay. 718-395-7660, 718-395-7660. As you saw, Patrick Gwynn, he certainly tried to call in, and we're going to try to get him back in a second here. I'll try to get everybody back in a second. Yes, there's Dead on Dave. Let's get Patrick Gwynn back, who always has a problem at the start of his call. It's just nothing short of amazing, right?
Every time.
And you give us a call, 718-395-7660, or add us to contacts on Skype. Shot for the point, one word. Shot for the point, one word.
The only absolutes in life are death, taxes, and fucking Pat Glenn's goddamn camera messing up or audio messing up every time he tries to call.
He probably calls wirelessly. I gotta be honest with you. I don't do anything fucking wireless except the goddamn thing in my kitchen.
It's getting the cloud, man.
Oh, fuck the cloud. I mean, wireless sucks. I see these guys, they play video games wirelessly. It's absolutely incredible to me. Let's take a call. In the crease with
Grandpa
Tommy
wants
C.
his games wired.
You're on the air.
Hey, Tommy, it's Patrick.
Oh, you're calling me on your phone. Oh,
my Skype's acting up again.
Is it? Well, okay. What's on your mind, buddy?
Not much. I did a little research since you guys were talking about Stamkos. In a grand total of 28 playoff games, including last night, he has scored a grand total of 8 goals.
How? 28 playoff games?
Yes.
Did they say what year those goals were? When did he score most of those goals? Recently, last year, or just spread out?
Most of those goals were scored in the playoff run a few years ago.
Okay.
When they had I think it was 2011, 2012, where he scored 6.
No kidding. Oh, that's pretty wild. That's a problem.
He reminds me of John LeClair, because John LeClair was this big, scorer in the regular season, but just disappeared in the playoffs.
Well, so did your center. Don't forget that.
Well, of course.
It wasn't just him. And it was
Mr.
up
Lindros
to it was up to that fat arrogant fuck to get John LeClair the puck. Oh, I'm sorry, my Lindros hate is coming out.
A little bit, I think.
Right. I couldn't stand that fat fuck. Ugh. I had a dartboard. I had a Lindros dartboard in the 90s. I made it myself. I was proud of it. Made it in wood shop.
It's all right. You have every right to hate Lindros.
You know how much you can't stand Crosby? That's how much I can't stand Lindros.
Yeah.
That's really how much I can't stand
I think
Lindros.
that's fair.
Although
the difference between you and I is I respected a lot of the guys that were on the Rangers teams at those same times.
I respected John Clare. I thought he was a great player. And I respected Lindros when he grew up, when he passed 30. He could still technically be playing if he didn't have so many problems, to be honest with you. He did have problems with concussions, and he had problems with concussions early in his career.
Well, there's always the joke that, if Lindros now is playing on a golf course, if a stiff wind hits his head, he'll get a concussion.
Why? I got it.
By the way, to Mr. Glenn's point, in the last 2 playoff appearances for Mr. Stamkos, 10 games, 2 goals. And it's the first time he was in the playoffs, 2010, 2011, he played in 18 games that year. They had a deep run, and he scored 6 goals. So, yeah, he's had 28 career, not 18. He's had 28 career.
HockeyReference.com, because that's where I got my information.
No, ESPN, baby.
ESPN?
ESPN, the leader in sports. Yeah, the last 2 seasons, 10 games, 2 goals, and most of them came, most of his 8 goals, 6 of them came in the first run in 2010, 2011.
Okay. Okie dokie. All right, got anything else for us, Pat?
No, just wanted to bring that up to you guys. And what are the playoff matches looking for next round after?
Well, I guess Jets will play us Jets. The Ducks. Yeah, the Ducks will play Calgary, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, Ducks will play Calgary.
I think that'll go 7.
Minnesota will play Chicago, and the Rangers.
That'll be a 6-game win for Chicago.
Okay,
that's what I'm thinking too.
Well, here's another thing, something we didn't talk about, and I'm glad you brought that up. Corey Crawford's actually starting in net. They're going back to Crawford in game 1.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about that. I don't got a problem with it, but if Chicago doesn't get their goalie situation straight out real quick, this might be an upset victory for the Minnesota.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they have to. I don't believe in the switching back and forth thing.
If the dude, stands on his head like he did in the last series, then you got.
Well, here that's the thing, and there's a pretty good chance he's going to stand in his head. You can beat a goalie standing on his head, but it's just that much more difficult. And if I was a coach, if I was Mike Yeo right now, I think the best thing going for us, the best opportunity to steal a game 7 away from them, because that's more than likely what it's going. I think Chicago's in for a little more of a fight than we might all think. It would be because the coach can't make up his mind what goalie he's going with.
Well, it's not about making up his mind. I don't think that's a fair thing. I don't think Quenneville's not making up his mind. I think he's going with he was fair to both guys. Look, both guys gave up 3 goals in the first period of the games that they were yanked. Both times, the goalie who came in to replace them was lights out.
Yeah, that's true.
What he would do is, as a reward, and he's doing the exact same thing, he's giving him the next game. Crawford's getting a chance to prove that he is fixed. And that's what you have to do. This guy's won you cups. You have to give him
there's no doubt about that, Dave. But if it becomes a reward scenario, like you just said, that's the biggest fear. And that's what I like. Nobody knows what their job is the next day. And I got to be honest with you, I would rather have a situation where I get one hot goalie, obviously, than have a hot goalie for 2 days. I don't think you win a Stanley Cup where you have a hot goalie for 2 days and then you switch to the next, you lose a game, and then you switch to the next one. I don't think you win a cup that way.
I'm in agreement.
You have to have a hot goalie throughout the playoffs.
So
I'm in agreement. But if you're Quenneville, you've got to give your guy Crawford, who just won you that game 6, the opportunity to show that he's fixed.
Okay.
If he doesn't, you have the opportunity to go back.
And then
this is not the way.
And what if the other kid goes cold? They're going to do it again and just switch back and forth. I saw this happen.
It's like I'm saying. This is not the way you want. You don't draw this up. But you have to remain consistent, and I think Quenneville's at least doing that. And hopefully Crawford's fixed, and this is not going to be a problem.
I bet you remember, maybe you remember this, Pat. You saw Roger Nielsen do this with Richter and Van Beesbrook in 92. Do you remember that?
Yeah, vaguely.
Didn't end up good for them,
I wasn't really paying attention to the playoffs back then because my Flyers sucked.
Your guys were all. I think that was the year before you got Lindros, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they sucked.
No, wait. I do remember this because back in 2011, we had the same kind of goalie carousel with Leighton and Bobrovsky.
Yeah, that's right. So
I do remember this.
So it doesn't work. It doesn't work.
No, it usually doesn't.
Yeah.
But when you have a guy like Crawford who has shown in the past that he can get fixed when you get a wake-up call like this, you at least got to give him the opportunity to prove it.
I'll give Quenneville the benefit of the doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Number 3 all-time in career wins. I'm going to give him the benefit.
Absolutely. All right, take care, Pat in South Jersey. That was Pat in South Jersey, everybody. Thanks for calling in. You're more than welcome to call.
Always a great call.
718-395-76. And he's always able to stay kind of current and ask sort of interessant questions as we say here.
Nice Deutsch there, by the way.
Yeah.
Good job.
Let's see. Ist ganz interessant. Pat aus Süd New Jersey.
Ich bin eine Mädchen.
You're a girl?
I'm a little girl.
No, kleine Mädchen.
No,
Ich
eine Mädchen.
Du
Eine,
bist
kleine. Ein. Ha, my wife.
Eine. Yeah, because you
She
got
said
to
ein.
you got to
I'm more
concentrate. Ein. Yeah,
We were
eine.
both wrong,
because it's
but I was
feminine.
more correct.
Because I know this. No, eine. Because it's feminine, and you have to create. Ein is a, and that has to be conjugated to the feminine version of a to eine. And then because it's Mädchen, that makes it medium.
makes
And
it
then
ein for
that
some
is ask her. That's
Because it's one.
that's genitive, correct? Ask your wife. That's a
She said
genitive sentence.
she said because it's one.
It's
one girl
but it's
is
it's
ein.
ask her if it's a genitive sentence. That's genitive, right?
Well, she said it has nothing to do with the gender. It's just
Yes. No.
one
No.
girl.
Not as I know. Is it genitive, dative, or
Is it
accusative?
genitive, dative, or what?
Accusative.
She doesn't know. She doesn't care. She said it's one.
It's genitive. It's a simple sentence. It's genitive. I think it's genitive. I'll ask Andy tomorrow. I'll ask him.
I don't know. Melanie's explaining it, but but we'll be here for an hour. Well, then say it in the microphone.
Dative.
Aye. You see what I have to deal with?
Yeah, I
See what I have to deal with?
what a pain in the ass.
You were way more wrong than I was, though. By the way,
No, it was Eine. I got A wrong.
you
That's
said Klein.
Klein. No, but I
You
wanted to
said
say
Klein.
Klein is small girl. That's right.
Yeah.
No, you're right.
You said
Klein.
Klein. You were
Klein
way
is
more
small.
wrong than I
I'm
was.
a girl. Yeah, I was saying a little girl because I call my daughter a kleine Mädchen.
Ah.
So, that's the way it goes.
My German embarrasses me.
I guess. How do you like my little rant against that dopey website? And what's your view of my my war with some poor kid's upstart website?
Both videos were fantastic. One, because the first one was just so emotionally riveting and it was just very well spoken. The second one, because that just shows the type of guy that you are, that when you feel like there's a retraction to be made or at least the benefit of the doubt given, you do it. You're fair. And that's why I like you. That's why I work with you. That's why the people like you. Because you're fair. Yeah, you could be a dick. You can go off, but you're fair about it. And that's why we all love Tommy C.
I only did it because I wanted to make a fucking big thing out of nothing, Dave.
Yeah. But I'm not going to say that.
The
I'll
only
let you
thing
say.
that bothered me though is because like Debbie and Cronin said to me, they were like, "That's probably like a phony email." I was like, "No, it's not. They have a website." It's like, but when I got the letter back, I was like, "Oh, thank God, I just didn't fucking go off on a goddamn, a penis pump offer, essentially."
Right.
You know what I mean? Do you have this bank in Nigeria? Would you like to hold $100,000 for the some king of Nigeria,
Prince of Versailles?
the
Yeah.
Prince of Versailles? The Prince of Nepal. It's probably going to Prince of Nepal. He has to hide his money because of the earthquake.
The earthquake sucked it up.
Yeah, actually, I there's a girl from Nepal in my class.
Really?
You know what's funny? What she said in German, she goes, they asked her like if everything was okay over there, and the first words were, "My family is not dead."
That's
She's actually one of the
good
better
Deutsch.
students. She's actually one of the better students in the class. And then we have a girl that's ethnically German that was born in Croatia and has to learn German kind of over again, and she drives me batshit crazy because I get the feeling that there was some German spoken in the house, and every time the teacher asks you a question, and I'm doing the mental math, and she does this to everybody, so it's not just me. She fucking answers the question, and the teacher never tells her to shut the fuck up. Can you guess why?
Let's think here. Because she's German.
No. Think.
Because she's a she.
That's part of
She's
it. What's more?
sexy.
Bingo.
There it is.
Bingo. She's hot.
There.
You can't tell a hot girl to shut the fuck up!
Well, most people can't, but you certainly
I told her to Heidi Klapper.
Did you
Heidi
really?
Klapper is nicht für du für mich. Danke.
Next time, go with Haldi Flesser.
Flighty Flies. I should have said Heights Mal. That's what I should have
Shut the
said.
fuck up.
Pittsburgh boy! You're on the air.
Fuck Ovechkin.
Heidi Clap. He looks good, man. He looks, he'd be playing in the Worlds, but he's in the playoffs. Ovi never misses an opportunity to play in the Worlds, except when he's in the second round of the playoffs.
That's right. That's right.
It's true. He plays all the time, actually.
He does. Yeah.
What's
So
on
who
your
will
mind?
they be getting now?
What's that?
Who will Washington be getting?
Getting the ranges.
They're getting the Rangers.
Ugh.
Please
No.
kick their ass.
They're not.
Nah.
It might happen. I don't think the Rangers have an answer for what the Caps are. I'm seriously thinking about going against them in the game.
It's that defense you're gonna have to worry about. It's
Stifling.
Jesus, man.
I mean,
Stifling.
look. The Islanders aren't exactly a slow team, and they pretty much push these guys out of the areas where fast teams excel. So that's why I'm a little worried about the. I'm very much worried about the Caps. They're the type of team you want to be in the playoffs. Looks completely fucking different than the regular season team. So that's what I find. So
I don't know, most of the year we've been saying this is not a good matchup for you guys if it were to happen. Now the only hope is they're so beat the fuck up that it's not going to matter. I don't know if that's the case. Game one's gonna be telltale. If there's one series where game one is the most important, it is this series.
Yeah, I'm
gonna say it right now. Whoever wins game one of this series wins the series. It might be in 7, but whoever wins game one is going to win that series.
I don't think so. I
just have a feeling.
I think the Rangers are either going to dominate or it's going to go 7.
Really?
And then maybe edge. No, I don't know. It could go 5.
Holtby can get hot, man. We know
Holtby's been letting a lot of shit go through his legs.
Yeah,
and not just last night.
Only the few goals that he's not giving up a ton, but the ones he has been have been kind of.
Hey, real quick. Anybody notice that Joel Ward likes to score big goals? Yes, I know he didn't have the Knutsev goal, which everybody's drooling over that. Has anybody had to know that fucking kid likes to score like in clutch situations?
Mr. Clutch.
Has anybody noticed that? Because I've noticed that. He's kind of scary when it comes to OT.
Luckily, I don't have to notice it because you did.
Yeah, I'm noticing that. Keep that in mind. That's what scares me. A fucking old key goal by Joel Ward. And then we're fucking defending the fucking Ranger fans because they wrote a bunch of dirty shit like they did in Boston a few years ago. That's my nightmare. Anything else on your mind, Pittsburgh boy?
Working on a public speaking assignment. I have to produce a persuasive speech in class.
Oh, Tommy's your guy.
Yeah, bring a gun.
My topic is the legal drinking age.
What do you want to do with it?
I think it should be 18.
Why?
I mean, you're old enough to vote, you're old enough to smoke, you're old enough to serve in the military.
Here's the thing.
You're not old enough to have a beer?
Here's the thing. Logic, and what's right says you're 100% correct. Here's what I want you to do. Go look when they lowered the drinking age back to 18 during Vietnam, and then look at the car accidents. That's why
where you lose the argument.
That's what the thing is. And you know what? If you wanted to be smart, I'll get you. You set it up like that. Old enough to fight, old enough to vote, old enough to have a beer. Because to be honest with you, me being a libertarian, that sounds logical to me. But if you actually, because I've looked into this before, by the way, on a school asylum in high school, if you look at the raw data, it's insane.
Yeah.
And it's just because kids aren't ready for it. And it just comes to, it has to do with basically the mental development of kids.
Yeah. Which does not end until 21, 22.
In principle, I'm 100% behind you. But here's what you do. You do some research when the drinking age was 18, and you look up drunk driving accidents, and you set it. What you do is you set it up like that: old enough to fight, old enough to fight, old enough to vote, old enough to have a beer, right? And then you throw the statistics at the end,
and
then
swerve.
You swerve them, and you say the numbers simply don't lie. I know your friends are going to hate you for it, but fuck them. You're trying to impress a teacher, by the way. So
what you do is you blame science too. You say science tells us
it. Bottom line
that
is
the brain is not developed.
If you look up the numbers, it's unimaginable to lower it. It's unimaginable. But I will say this: in principle, I'm with you. But here's the thing: they did that, I think, in New Jersey during Vietnam. And if you think about it, it works like this. Look, us as 18-year-olds, we can get beer from our 21-year-old friends. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, your 18-year-olds can get beer. Those are seniors in high school. Now you're 14-year-olds, 15-year-olds, and 16-year-olds. I always had an easier time getting weed than booze when I was a kid. Why? Because weed's illegal. Booze isn't illegal, but it's regulated. So now you're spilling down to, and remember, some states have 16-year-old driving laws, right? So look into it objectively, look at that way, and swerve everybody. Don't just go old enough to fight, old enough to vote, because that used to be, the thing in the 60s. If you're old enough to fight, you're old enough to vote, because the voting age was 21 during Vietnam. Well, does that mean too old to fight, too old to vote? Old enough to drink, old enough to fight, old enough to drink. It's the same kind of like cliche logic. Get beyond
on the
cliche logic.
on the contrarian front here.
Yeah.
Look into the European data that a lot of European places, including the place that Tommy and I live, Germany, have lower drinking ages as far as 16-year-olds can drink beer. Look into the raw data about accidents and such here.
I bet
you might be able to use that.
I bet it's lower, but I bet I could answer that. The culture's different
Because
over here.
the drive-
and
well,
kids
and
drink
how hard
at
it is to get a
9
license
and
here.
kids drink at 9 and they're allowed to have beer at 9 and 10 years old. And if you give your 9 or 10-year-old a quick shot of beer or something like that, your neighbor's calling the cops. You know what I mean?
Yep.
That's really what it comes down to. All right, Pittsburgh boy, I'm going to take Deb.
All right, man.
All right, take care, Pittsburgh boy. Trying to
We're going to get him an A.
disappointing the shit out of him and probably thinking that I'd agree with him. But I don't. I think the drinking age is fine where it is.
It's okay. We just got him an A. We got him
I
an
think
A.
if he swerves him like that, you get an A. Otherwise,
Give him an
you'll be Pittsburgh boy with your fucking C+. Deb in Texas, Chicago Blackhawks fan. Something tells me, I'm going to try to read your mind, Deb. You are going to tell me I said something that bothered you about hockey. Go ahead.
No.
Damn it. All right, go ahead.
The only reason I called is because Dr. Geek and Pat wanted me to talk about asses.
Asses? What do you mean?
Asses.
What do you mean?
Yeah,
Cute asses?
the best hockey ass in the world.
Who's got the best hockey ass in the world? I don't know if I could judge that. How could you
Patrick
tell
Kane.
with those goddamn hockey pants on?
Behind the scenes, baby.
How do you do that? Oh, you look at their picture. Well,
Copious amounts of research.
let me let me Google that.
Yeah,
right?
that's what I researched. Yeah.
Did you do that? You can do that in the school report.
No, I'm kidding.
Were you? Hockey butts on Tumblr.com. That's where it belongs.
Asses of the NHL.
But then they don't have them in uniform. Oh, wait a minute. You can't really
No,
tell.
but you know who I was going to say?
Who's got the best ass?
Yes.
Taze.
Kane.
Yes. No, Taze.
Taze. Shocking. You like
No,
TJ's
he does though.
You
It's
like TJ
glorious.
Oshie's
He's
miniature
cute.
ass? There's a link on Tumblr that shows hockey asses, and it looks like Taze, Carey Price, Andrew Shaw, and I don't know who number 52 on the damn Capitals was. I can't remember, and I can't see anybody else's because this girl is obviously a mangeless. What's a female?
A connoisseur?
Yeah, a connoisseur. No, I wanted to like if I put a bunch of chick butts on Tumblr, I'd probably get thrown the fuck off.
Yeah, you're sexist.
Yeah, okay. All right, hockey asses. So you put your vote in for Jonathan
Hashtag
Taze.
Taze.
You know, he's I'm surprised you're into him because he's kind of skinny to me. I mean, I don't know. Don't you want like
Kind
a
of
beefy?
what?
He's skinny. He's not like built.
Skinny.
He's not built. He's not that big.
He does seem wiry.
He's wiry. He is wiry.
Yeah.
You know, he's not like
Tommy, he is stacked up. What the hell are you
Well, I
talking
mean, look,
about?
he's like me, but in shape. He's got like these long muscles. You know, he's not like beefcake. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or maybe you just see that because you're so in love.
Yeah, you're blinded by desire.
You're blinded by love.
No. I know men's bodies, okay? I know.
You know?
Do not argue with me.
Well, why would I ever start arguing with a woman?
He's 6'2", 208.
He's 6'2"?
He's 6'2", 208, yeah.
Yeah, he's pretty big. You know what it is? It's hockey players are so. Well, I take it back. You're right.
Yeah. See, you started off this whole conversation wrong. One, you tried to read a woman's mind. That's a fail. But two, you argued with a fucking woman.
Yeah, because you know why?
Double fail.
You can't win
We
there.
suck.
You know why? Because my argument's got to make sense. I'm at a fucking disadvantage. Thank you, Chris Rock, for that beautiful quote.
Drops the mic, walks off stage.
It's the greatest Chris Rock joke in history. Guys, never argue with a woman you can't win. Hooray! Yeah, you tell him. What's up?
And speaking of the Hawks, I really wanted to say something substantial.
Well, okay, say something. I want to. You know what I want to talk about? I want to talk about Jonathan Taze's wife. Holy Christmas!
Yeah.
Girlfriend. He's not married yet.
Is it? Oh. Well, you keep us updated
up to date on that shit.
You keep us updated on that. There she is. Holy God!
Yeah. She's sexy. He's
I'd eat ice cream out of her butt. And I wouldn't do that for just any woman. Oh, I don't care. If that's
like it was Caravel.
If that's what made her happy, that's what I do. But say something substantial, which you're more than capable of doing, by the way. You're a great caller.
You were speaking about the goalie thing.
Yeah.
I think Coach Q never wanted to bench Crawford.
No.
But
Crawford
right. Just stepped on his, he made his own problem.
He gave up 3 in the first period of the first game. I mean, you're going to get pulled.
I know.
And then what did Q do? He tried to put him back in the second game. Crawford stumbled again.
Oh, so
Darling went on from there,
you're saying that he never really wanted to go with Darling to begin with, and that makes a hell of a lot of sense.
Yep.
He was not confident with Darling, and he was just thankful Darling performed, and he knew Darling would probably shorten a fuse after a while. I mean...
No, but Darling's a good backup, though. He's really good.
Absolutely.
Yeah, except when he's on the sauce.
Shut up. Do not go there.
That really bothered you, huh? You know why it bothered you? You know why it bothered you? Because if that was your brother, you would have a heart attack. Am I right?
Totally.
Yeah, that would really bug you if that was your brother, huh? Because no, did you hear they sent Scott Darling's sister a bunch of nasty tweets saying he was a bunch of sauce when he dropped those 3 goals? Yeah, it's pretty horrible.
Jesus.
Sounds like something we would do.
You're right.
Actually, I don't think
send them little bottles of schnapps.
I don't think I would do that unless she was
fucked up.
I sent something to Mike Ribeiro's wife once, but she was like, "Oh my God, we have to move again." And I wrote about that. Why'd you marry him, you dumb bimbo? He was a hockey player. It's like these dopes that marry soldiers. He's always in Iraq. I'm gonna leave him for going to Iraq. Hey, was he in the army when you married him? Yeah, he looked good in uniform.
Huh.
Huh? You never heard anything like that before?
No, it's more often. Yeah,
it is. It's true. It's true. Watch American Sniper. She doesn't like the guy because he's
I don't want to watch that. Oh, no,
It's a good movie. It's not violent. It's not that violent, actually. You know that?
Well, I watched that other one, Lone Survivor, and I cracked my eyes out.
That's violent.
No.
This is it's a completely different film.
It's psychological.
It's more about the people and the relationships and his wife, and really it shows you how important, and military wives don't know this, but they need to hold shit down at home, and like how his wife kind of rises to the task when she wanted to stay away from soldiers because she had dated
They're
so
too
many.
busy trying to get friggin' awards for running FRG. Don't get me started on military spouses.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Here's the thing about military spouses, though.
Cretin.
That's what drives you nuts about them because we need them so much, and they really are. They have to be the moral leaders in the rear and keep shit together. And if you get a good group of tight military spouses, it makes everything go smoother. Sure. You know, unfortunately, you run into people that think it's all about them, and that's the problem. Highly recommend American Sniper. It's not just about violence. In fact, violence, I would say, is a backdrop to that. Whereas Lone Survivor was about surviving tremendous violence. Yeah. So please give it a chance.
Okay, way off topic, because I just thought about this. You know Ribeiro?
Yeah.
The Fred? He looks like Squidward from SpongeBob.
He does. He also looks like an extra on The Walking Dead.
I know. He looks so weird. Like, did he do crack or something?
Yeah, I know. He does. He looks like he should be begging, "I got $1. I'm just asking for 50 cents. That's what he looks like. What's his problem? I'm mad at him. I wouldn't make fun of him for his looks, but what he did on the ice 10 years ago against Boston, I've never forgiven him for that. I don't know if you ever saw that, Deb. Let's see that.
No, I didn't.
Oh, God. Go watch it. Watch Mike Ribeiro rolls on the ice like a filthy bitch. Oh, it's disgusting. Where's he from? Oh, he's my wife's age. Born 1980.
I hate Stahlberg, too, because he was such a bitch during the whole series. He was, like, all butthurt about Chicago forcing him to leave or whatever. And I'm like, get over yourself.
I know why Ribeiro looks unusual now.
Because he's actually done crack?
No. Because he's part of a very small tribe of American Indians in Quebec.
Shit.
That's why he looks unusual.
Really?
Yes. I just looked
You're
it up.
not saying that Indians look weird. You're saying that because
wait a minute. No. I'm wrong. Wrong guy. Take that back.
Okay.
Anglophone, Quebec. Oh, he's Portuguese. Excuse me.
Oh, he's Portuguese.
That explains everything. I was looking at some other hockey player that was
He's Portuguese.
Yeah, he's Portugal. He's from Portugal. That's why he's weird looking. All right. Now.
Oh, and that Kronwall.
What do you think of that?
So bad because it was so bad because that other guy was so small.
Yeah, he was tiny.
And
I
it just looked worse than it was.
I think Nick Kronwall should be suspended for being over 6 foot tall. I think that's what a lot of these hits come down to. If you take the Eric Greiba hit on Lars Eller, I mean, you're 6'5", and you run into a guy that's 5'10".
5'10", yeah.
You're lining your shoulders at his head. I'm not that Kronwall's 6'5", but I mean, you get the idea. Since when do you have to crouch to hit somebody?
Yeah, you can't make a rule where you just can't hit these guys that are 7 inches smaller than you. I mean, you can't do it. It's ridiculous.
I wonder if there's any chance they let him off. They reviewed the video. He told them what he was doing. They just.
I think there's a possibility.
God, for Christ's sake, they let Rick Nash off for hitting some guy in the head with a hockey stick, and they made a video about it. You can still see it. Brendan Shanahan.
I think it's very possible because he's never been in trouble. Yeah, absolutely.
Oh God, I hope he gets off. And the Bolts. And I'll tell you something. This is probably going to come down to defense.
Tommy, did you watch that Cap Isles game?
Of course. First thing this morning.
Okay, well, did you see that Ovechkin cross-check? That wasn't a penalty?
I'm glad you brought that up, and we're going to end on this.
Because if Kronwall gets, gets suspended, then Ovi should get suspended.
Yeah, suspended too. Here's the thing about that game, and I'm glad you brought that up because I put it in my notes and I forgot to talk about this. They let those boys play. The Islanders got away with stuff too. The Islanders got away with a boarding call early in the first period, so I'm going to let Ovi go.
Definitely.
Yes, you know what I'm talking about. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
When they called the penalty, after everything they let go, there was no one penalty called in this game, Dave. Mm-hmm. And it was 2 minutes, little less than 3 minutes to go. They were only up by 1. It was 2-1, and they called this bizarre penalty for
that was bullshit.
Incident. Did you get the feeling that they wanted overtime? The refs.
It's quite possible.
So.
I gotta be honest with you. I don't like that.
No, I don't like it either.
They let everything go.
Like helping the Islanders or something. It was weird.
I don't think they're helping the Islanders. I think they're helping the NHL.
Yeah.
I think that's what it's about. I don't think they're going in there like, I want Jonathan Toews to win over. I don't think so. But those guys need a firm fucking talking to. If they let those boys play, which I have no problem with them doing. No problem with it. And all of a sudden, with 2 minutes to go and a light contact that was a debatable penalty to begin with, to give the Islanders a power play is just unfair. It's stupid.
Absolutely.
I don't think this is tinfoil dick Tommy time. I think
it's not.
I think this is a legitimate question. The refs have really been awful. They've been horrible. Yeah. Ottawa got screwed.
Let me tell you something. If this goes differently, and because of that penalty, the Islanders are able to tie it up and then win in overtime, we are having a much different conversation.
Massive debate.
Today. We're having
you know what's the worst thing about it is if the Islanders go back, they tie it up and they win in overtime. It's sort of like, but it's not even good for the Islanders. It's just
it's not.
Yeah, it's like a but situation.
But I'll tell you, there would have been some serious criticism of the refs because we're hearing smatterings of it, but the refs are not being called out for the horse shit job they're doing throughout the playoffs. If that would have happened, you especially with the type of guy that Barry Trotz is, believe me, some shit would have been said the next day or after the game.
Trotz
would have lost his fucking mind.
Like crap. And the Capitals, I watched the Capitals broadcast. The Capitals broadcaster, he has an Italian last name. I can't remember. He said it. His name was Mike Bibbidi Bobbidi. That's right.
Mike Bibbidi
Bobbidi. He pointed it out immediately, and I'm glad he did. And I got the feeling when I heard it, he really wanted to go off.
I'm sure he did.
I mean, he really wanted to go off. Thanks for the call, Deb. We're going to end the show now.
Bibbidi Bobbidi.
Okay,
I don't know why it's tickling me.
Bibbidi Bobbidi. Boop!
Boop. That was always a great call, man. She gives it to you. I like it.
Yeah.
She goes after you.
No,
you always try to peg her.
The only guys that give it to me more than that gives it to me more than her is a Devils fan. He really likes to bust my balls. That guy calls me up after the show's over to fucking goof on me. Where has he been anyway?
Dead.
We also haven't had as many celebrity calls of late.
Yeah, I know. What's up with that?
You know what it is? I think he's starting to get laid. You know, and I think it happened at the same time he got interested in the show.
Oh, that's just a
yeah. It's kind of a
timing.
bummer for us because he's a good caller. I even got a little comment today saying he's like, Tommy, that guy's really funny. I was like, yeah. He's.
But kudos on him for making the right choice. You choose puss over this any day.
Oh yeah. You kidding me?
Absolutely.
You a homo? Yeah, I would too. That's the problem, you know? That's the problem. But that's why I like guys in their 30s a little more because, like, I think if Jeff gets a girlfriend, he's gone.
He's gone. He's gone.
Why are you hanging out with those idiots, middle-aged morons?
He's gonna. You know what the worst part
You know what
is?
he's gonna say? What the fuck am I doing?
He's just gonna shrug, and that's gonna be like a fucking wave of an epiphany just running over him. He's like, what the fuck am I doing?
put up with you watching every Blues game, every Rams game, every goddamn Cardinals game. I play 182 games. Can't you just give me the time that maybe you would give those shot from the doint guy or whatever the names are?
Why is he with Edith Bunker? That's the question I have.
That's what all women sound like to me. That
okay.
get on my nerves. They all sound like
You can
Edith
tell which
Bunker.
one of us has been
They
through a
sound
divorce.
they sound like
Fuck.
a bitchy Edith Bunker. You don't pay enough attention to me. My ex-boyfriend used to do this. I have needs too.
That's right.
You're self-centered. You're self-centered. Now go get me something. I really hurt my voice.
Is that worrisome that sounded a lot like my mother?
No.
Just
I've heard you're
freaks me out.
self-centered a lot, strangely. Could you believe that? Women called me self-centered in the past?
No, I could never.
No, Jesus Christ. What a
Never
bunch of fucking unfortunate I was in my dating career. Yeah, Philly. It was always when I was going out the door, too. Wonder why they did that.
I don't know.
I was coming back.
Always came back. Maybe that's the problem.
Always come back. Yeah, maybe it was.
Maybe that's the problem.
Yeah. I could have been it. I'll give you some headlines before we head out. Craig Berube expected to come back as Flyers coach. Probably should have talked about that with what's his face. Oh! I don't like Craig Berube! Get him out of here! Get him all! Get all these guys out! Predators say Shea Weber actually dislocated his right kneecap.
Yes.
Ow. 6 weeks. Well, as soon as you recover, back in the ice.
Back in the ice. Well, not this season.
Summer's over. Yeah, well, better now than I guess. Not the worst thing. Flames decided to go with Hiller to start game one. I guess that's not a very big surprise. You know?
No, it shouldn't be.
No. Hiller, well, you know, at times when he played for the Ducks, he could be a really effective little Swiss goalie there.
Sure.
You know, I mean, he's got hot. He got for hot for the Ducks, and the reason he left the Ducks is because he kind of let them down in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But he's played quite well for the Flames. But
I smell redemption.
Very well could be.
I smell redemption.
Very well could be. He could be in there and say, "Hey, this is my crease. Get out of it." Deb and Dr. Deke are going to do a PowerPoint presentation on hockey players' asses. What do you think of that?
Nice. Good on them.
Well, send it to Dead on Dave.
Yeah, I'll send it to me and I will judge it. Do a debate and I will determine the winner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You homo.